Okay, everybody in. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Chair, can I just say something? Mrs. Tucky is trying to get in.
All right.
License manager.
Yes.
Yes, we'll
Yes,
get her
I
in.
think we can allow her. Welcome everybody to this afternoon's subcommittee licensing meeting. We just have to read the webcasting announcement. I'd like to remind everybody present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet or filmed and will be capable of repeated viewing or another use by such third parties. Please could I also remind the public who have registered to speak that they will be admitted to the meeting at the appropriate time. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties do interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, I may need to adjourn the meeting. So that's that. Item 2 is apologies for absence. I don't think we have any.
No apologies.
Are there any declarations of interest? Any members of the committee? No, right.
No.
Item 4 is the procedure for the conduct of this virtual meeting. First of all, I'll ask the licensing officer who is responsible for this item to introduce the item, go through it, what it is all about. I will then ask the applicant, if they're here, to present their case to us. We will ask the applicant questions. If there are objectors here, they will ask questions. And then it will be the turn of the objectors to put their case why they're objecting. We will ask them questions, and then the applicant can ask questions. Finally, it'll be the objectors to sum up, not sum up, but introduce any other item which they haven't already done. And also, then it'll be the applicant to come last in the item he hasn't remembered to do before. We will then go into private session to discuss the matter. So that's the way we're doing it. Just introductions. I think Mr. Newton wanted to say something, did he?
Yeah, hello, that's me. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year to you all. I hope your Christmas was. Is that it?
That's it. Yes, just so know who you are. Just a few introductions going round. I'm Councillor Richard Morgan, who is chairing the panel. We've got Councillor Ian Hadley and Councillor Darton Songa, who will be adjudicating on this application. The fourth member is Councillor Brian Rolfe, who will be sitting out just observing. He will be here all the time, just in case one of our iPads goes down, and then he'll replace whatever's happened. Licensing officers are Debbie Houghton and Kim Tucky, and who else we got there? And Ibrahim. So they are the three licensing officers. One of those will be introducing each one. We have Laura Kimman and Adrian Henry from Democratic Services, Lee Cole from the legal department, and the rest of the members are for different items on the agenda. We can get you to introduce yourselves when we come to your item. I think have I missed anybody out? No?
No, sure.
Right. Okay. Well, the first application is for applications for a new renewal of a street trading consent of Debtors Traders Association of 26 the Broadway, Loughton. This is on pages 13 to 46 of our agenda. And I'll ask who's doing this one. Was it Debbie? Yeah, Debbie Houghton, licensing officer, to introduce the item, please.
Thank you, Chair. As you rightly said, this is to consider an application for a renewal of a street trading consent under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982. And this is for the application for the grant of the renewal of a street trading consent, which came in on the 12th of October 2020. The Licensing Department received an application for the renewal of an existing street trading consent from the Debden Traders Association to trade with stalls for a market at the Broadway in Loughton, Essex. A copy of the application is attached to this report. The application sets out the relevant licensing activities applied for and the times requested. And that is for the sale of mixed goods to include hot and cold food and drinks, Monday to Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning till 5, and Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning till 4. The renewal application was submitted late. It should have been submitted on or before the 7th of October, and it was received into the department on the 12th. This is not the first time this renewal has been late. It has happened over several years. So because of this, a warning letter was issued for the consent in 2019, which did not get renewed until February of 2020, making it 4 months late. A copy of that letter is attached to the report. We also received a complaint regarding the consent, which is also attached to this report, and a representation as well. There is no requirement in the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act of 1982 to carry out any consultation, but the Licensing Department did notify Essex Police, Essex Fire and Rescue, the Environmental Team, Public Health and Essex County Council Highways, Loughton Town Council and the ward councillors. The authority has received one representation of objection to this application from a local business. A copy of that is attached with the report. Historically, this consent was for 2 days a week. I believe it used to be for Thursdays and Saturdays for the market. In 2016, Debden Traders Association applied for 7-day trading. We received no objections, so the street trading consent was granted, and they've been trading under 7 days ever since. That is the end of the report. If I can help any further, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Debbie. I don't think we've got the applicant here, have we, Adrian?
No applicant.
No. Well, we just have to go by the paperwork for the application then.
Can I just say something, Chair? They did contact Democratic Services to say they would not be attending.
Oh. Right, well, we can't ask many questions then, so we'll have to go on to the objections, and the objection from who is Emily Grace or Emily Smith? That's it. Emily, if you'd like to put your case to the panel why you're objecting to this application, please. If you just unmute.
Is it unmuted?
Yes, that's fine. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I've been working in the shop that I work at for around 8 years, and for I'd say 6 of them years, he's only had one table outside the front of his shop. Always one table selling plants and flowers, which I've never had a problem with because I didn't own the shop. It was never a problem. But then my first Christmas 2 years ago, he had tables going outside the neighbouring shops of plants, fresh flowers, wreaths, Christmas trees, like a large display. So when I went over to him, I said, this is my first Christmas. Is there any chance that you could match the prices of what I've paid? Because obviously I think where he pays cash for all of his stuff, he doesn't have to put the VAT on. So he can undercut me. So I said, is there any way that you could please match my price with this? And then your customers can come to you and then mine can come to me. And this was to Peter Sparks that I said this to. And then Peter just turned around to me and just basically said, well, you should have done your homework before taking over a shop. I'm going to basically do what I want. And I thought, okay. But it was quite in a bullying manner. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just leave it. But there was not such a huge display as what there is recently. So then I've left it because there was no way he was going to be trying to help me at all or lower his prices. So then it got up to lockdown, and then lockdown is when all businesses had to close. So all market stalls, everyone had to close apart from the essential shops. But when I come down to water the plants down on the Broadway, he was outside Superdrug, he was outside his own shop, he was outside the carpet shop, so Marvin Carpets, and outside Superdrug. And Superdrug actually had to tell them to not go in front of their shop. So from the vast amount of stuff that he had, there was hanging baskets, there was everything. But then he said to somebody who's told me that he's not going to bother having a marketing license anywhere else because he's earning so much down here. So then that's when I questioned whether it was actually Peter's stall or if it's the man on the stall who is there every day of the week. That's when I got in contact again with the council to ask if it was Peter's stall, because that's who I dealt with when I had my main concern, or if it was the market stall outside, which then led me to think that the market stall isn't actually allowed to trade during the lockdown because they're not essential. Plants aren't essential. It's not an essential thing to be selling, to be putting people at risk for the sake of the plants. So then when I contacted the council, I also contacted health and safety and other various people to try and get a little bit of guidance to know, well, what's actually going on. Because when I come here, I mean, I've got older parents. I don't want to mix with anybody when I'm walking down the Broadway to do absolutely anything. Then I thought, well, you can't really walk through this stall without being in contact with both the man and his family on the stall. And then you've got Peter on that side, as well as the oncoming customers that go in. There was absolutely no way of walking through that without being in contact with probably minimal 10 people. So then that's making me go into the roads. So then I thought, well, I'm going to ring and ask maybe if they can change it, or if it's a market stall. If it's the market stall or if it's Peter, who does anybody go to in regards of how to move it? Or anyway, so when I contacted the council, they said no, it's part of Peter's shop. So what they'll do to minimise actually put the social distancing in place, they'll move the stalls down the road. So now we've got all of the stalls further down the road. Then that's when he's brought in loads of other things, such as like hanging baskets and everything else. So he hasn't really changed it. He just dispersed it further down the Broadway. But what my problem is everyone's allowed to be open if they're essential, but plants I deem not really essential, but because it was apparently classed as Peter's shop, they allowed it. So then when I tried to contact, I contacted Kim Tucky, then I got a letter back sort of stating if it is, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't as if it was like, no, it's Peter's stall, so he is allowed this, or no, it's a market stall, that's why the market stall is displayed as it is. So I did get a response back, and I did also speak to Debbie Houghton, and that Debbie Houghton was very helpful. So then now I feel like I should object to the market stall because it's selling the same items as a shop, which I don't think is fair. Usually you've got a clothes stall, there's no one selling the clothes. Then you've got a card stall, you've got a phone case stall, and now 7 days a week I've got a plant stall, and it is jeopardising my business now. But not only that, when I do approach them, and I approach them as another shop owner, as a bit of sort of a leeway, at least, just to give the same prices, or at least not sell exactly what I'm selling. But when I do, they're nasty, actually nasty to me, and actually quite intimidating towards me. So now I haven't walked down that side of the road in months now. So I don't walk down there because every time I walk past the stall, the long-haired man who is on the stall and his family, I've had one remark every time I've gone down there, So I just don't. I don't walk down that side of the road anymore. So then, not too long ago, which I attached in my appeal, Peter Sparks sent out a leaflet saying who would like a proper market down there. And then in one of the points, it said, as long as it doesn't jeopardise any existing businesses. But I don't see how that's fair if I'm not selling anything that anybody else down the Broadway is selling. Yeah, I sent it in my appeal. Yeah, I think it's in my appeal. So I don't know if you've seen, I can send it over again. It's a blue leaflet. It's got the points signed by Peter Sparks at the bottom. So it says who would like a business stall, providing it doesn't jeopardise anybody else's business. But I can't object to this because the head of Debden Traders Association is Peter Sparks. So I don't know how I'm meant to get help or get somebody to help me with this without talking to Peter, which he obviously clearly doesn't like me from the way that he speaks to me. So if I wanted to get a market stall for something selling fruit, I wouldn't be allowed to. So I don't really know how it's fair that he's selling literally everything I want to, and then everything that I sell. And then when I did approach him, one of his threats was that he's going to start selling fresh flower bouquets every day, just so probably to be quite nasty. So when I said, well, that means that I'll be suffering even more, that's not actually fair, then he comes back with, well, I'm not suffering, so it doesn't really bother me. So trying my best.
Okay, Emily, thank you very much for that. We have got all the, you're talking about the blue paper.
Yeah.
We've got that. We've got all the photographs of everything as well on our pack, so we do know what it looks like. A couple of questions. How many stalls are there altogether?
What, currently, or it
Well,
used to have
normally.
one table. So for the past 8 years, he had one table, like a pasting table size. Now he's got probably 4 or 5 mainly, and then in lockdown there was various trestles. He had staging, he had hanging basket stands, he had.
Okay, yeah, but the whole market.
Yes.
The total number of tables or stalls are there in there? I mean, there's not only just him there. There's other stalls as well, isn't there?
Oh yes. So there's a clove shop, a clove stall. There's a phone case stall. There's a card stall, and then but they only ever come on a Thursday.
I see.
They are only aware that it's a Thursday because I spoke to one of them and they said no, we can only trade on Thursdays. But obviously they can trade 7 days, but I don't think they was told.
Okay, thank you very much. And just one more question before I go over. You sell in your shop flowers and plants and that sort of thing, is it?
Yeah, so it's a florist. So we sell
fresh
flowers, we sell like outside plants, but I haven't been able to sell what I want to because I end up throwing them away because I can't do them as cheap. And obviously, if someone's selling something cheaper, they're gonna go cheaper. But I can't do them as cheap as him. I'm VAT registered. I have to put it up.
Okay. So there's no other members or here. There's no other objectors here to speak, is there? No. Right. I'll go on.
Advertisement on there when I was told how to object because I've never done anything like this before. They said that there would be a sign on the lamp post leading up to it. So if anybody does want to object, they can. But there was never one put up.
Okay. Right. If you can go on to mute at the moment, Emily. Councillor Sunga, you've got questions to the objector.
Thank you, Chairman. I've listened to Emily's objection, and I really do have sympathy for you because it's difficult times during what we're going through, businesses, etc. I do feel that the street trading people that do trade in front of these shops should be sympathetic, and they should be working together collectively in some sort of an ethos there. I have a question because Emily, you've obviously put an objection to the committee today. Did you not think about putting an objection of letter of complaint to our democratic service to Debbie or before? the application during the course. Have you lodged a complaint to us? So I can't hear you. Do you want to come
Just
back?
go for mute, Emily.
I'm sorry. I'm getting used to it. I'm so sorry. I have sent in numerous letters and phone calls for a long time now, and
Okay.
health and safety also.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Obviously, just a question really for Debbie. Do we have any complaints from any of the other shopkeepers around that the Debden Broadway?
To the best of my knowledge, Councillor, no. And when we did receive Emily's complaint in, it was escalated to Mrs. Tuckey, the licensing manager, and she did respond to Emily regarding her complaint. But we did advise Emily as well to attach her complaint with her representation of objection to the renewal.
Okay, that's fair enough. And just one final one, Chairman, if I can.
Please.
I know from our licensing, from Debbie, our responsible officer, that this license has constantly been, the renewal applications have always been submitted late, and it's been going on for several years. My question is, why have we allowed this to happen? Why are we allowing this particular applicant to file applications and delaying them year after year? Surely we should be, we should have some sort of mechanism to ensure that either he's forgotten to do it. I mean, he can't do it every single year, but certainly doesn't sit right with me that he thinks it's okay to put in applications late and then to continue trading whilst he hasn't got a license. So perhaps you may want to comment on that. Thank you.
I can comment on that, Councillor. Yes, I've been doing the street trading for a couple of years now, so I can't comment before that. I took over a couple of years ago, and when they started coming in late, I did write, when he was granted his one last year, he received the letter to say if he was late again, then we would not be in a position perhaps to allow him to continue to trade. But because then COVID came in, it was deemed that on this occasion that it was late, but by a few days, that because we then got the objection in, we would have to allow him to continue to trade until the renewal of his application was determined at this hearing.
And Chairman, if I can I come back with just a second
please do.
very quickly? So we wrote to Mr. Spark and telling him in writing that if he continued to submit applications late, then you would reserve the right to renew his license. Is that right?
The letter was sent to the Debden Traders Association, which I believe Peter Sparks is part of. So the letter was sent to them. I did get a response back from Peter Sparks to say the application is being done, has been done, is on its way with a check. But because of COVID and we weren't in the office every day of the week because of the restrictions of being able to work at the council, when it was coming, it was proof that it had been submitted late because of the postmark on the envelope. But on this occasion, we allowed him, because we knew we were going to get that representation in from Emily, we allowed him to continue to trade until the determination at this hearing.
Yeah, thank you, David. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Sparks isn't here, perhaps to answer some of our concerns as well. But I just do feel that the law is made there for a reason, for everybody to adhere to, and nobody's above the law. And if somebody constantly keeps on making excuses not to listen to advice that's been given by our local authority officers, it doesn't really sit well with me. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Just a question for you, Debbie. When did his actually license expire? What date?
The license, I've got a copy of it attached to the report.
Or was it?
Yeah, his current one. It expired on the 7th of October 2020, but obviously the new one hasn't been granted yet, the consent, because of the determination at this hearing.
Yeah, so really he's been trading for 3 months.
Yeah.
Without a license. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Hadley, have your questions or comments, please?
Question for Emily. The van that seems to be parked on the pavement outside the shop, how often does this happen and for how long?
Usually every day when he's unloading, and then he comes back various times. But he will either park the van long ways, so he takes up more than one bay, or he's parked straight on the pavement with everything. He unloads all of his trolleys from it. So sometimes it's for a couple of hours, sometimes it'll be for an hour, sometimes it goes up and drives. But every day, at least twice a day, that van is up there. And I'm pretty sure when it was in the peak of the lockdown, it just stayed up there. Outside Superdrug, I think it was parked a lot.
Thanks, Lemmy. That's great. And question for you, Laura, or Debbie rather. Are there any restrictions on the size of a pitch per shop owner or stall owner?
According to the consent, there is no. He's put for the size of the van, cart or barrows that they're various sizes, and that we have no numbers of how many stalls. So we don't know. We don't know.
What I'm getting at, he can then, if he wishes, have stalls all down the Broadway under his name as part of the Debden Trading Group, Street Trading Group or whatever. Yeah, is that right?
Technically, I suppose, yes, you're correct.
So he's got granted permission then to fill up the whole Broadway if he wishes, with all sorts of shops selling all sorts of things.
Yeah. Like I said, historically, the consent over the years has only been for 2 days. I believe that to be a Thursday and a Saturday. But in 2016, he applied for 7 days. We didn't receive any objections to it, so it was granted for 7 days. But I believe it's never been used for 7 days. That's my understanding.
Do we know how many other stalls are actually on the Broadway under this guise of this trading company?
I believe there to be possibly 3 other trading stalls doing other things.
Doing other things and maybe not associated with this shop.
I don't know about the shop. I'm not sure how many stalls are connected to Peter Sparks or the Debden Traders Association, but I believe there to be, like Emily said, a phone shop, phone part pieces, a card stall, because they've contacted me to see, because originally they were told they couldn't be there once the consent expired. They were told by the person who comes around to collect the rent that there was no longer going to be a market. But I did advise them to say that we had given Debden Traders Association permission to continue to trade under the old consent until this was sorted at a hearing.
Okay, if this application has been from the Mr. Sparks, that could be restricted in a better way, possibly, by saying you can only have stalls outside your shop. Is that correct?
You can amend and vary the consent as you so wish. You can vary the times, you can vary the days, you can vary the goods. It's totally your choice for the consent.
Okay, but with it coming under the Debden Traders Association, that would give a single shop owner who set that association up the right to fill the place with his own stalls, which seems what's happening now, possibly.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you, Debbie.
Okay. Dalston.
Yeah, so thank you, Chairman. 2 things really. The whole idea of having stalls outside shopkeepers on the Broadway is so that it drives more footfall, so more people come to the Broadway, and so that the shopkeepers can also benefit as well. But of course, if shopkeepers are not having taken any advantage or benefit from the street stalls, so I think it goes against the whole ethos of working together in partnership with some sort of trading, all shopkeepers working, fairly and squarely. Because let's face, some of the shopkeepers will be paying a lot more higher rents and also business rates as well. So that doesn't sit right with them. But just to finish up, really, Chairman, page 16, the terms and conditions of granting a street license does say that the consent does not permit trading outside the terms of the consent. And quite clearly, this has been breached since the 7th of October. This particular traders association haven't had consent to trade. That doesn't sit right with me, but we'll take that into consideration when we make our decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the objectors or anyone? It seems that we've done as much as we can. It's just as the applicant is not here, they won't do a final summing up. Emily, you can say a final summing up without introducing anything new. If you want to say anything extra, then now's the time, please.
So I didn't have any objection with them just having the one small table. It's only since it's really been damaging my business. I just find it unfair. And then I feel like it was a little bit of just like a sort of rubbing it in my face by sending the leaflet around. I just felt a little bit sort of gutted, really, because I'm trying, but I just.
Okay, just a question, Emily. Have you ever thought of having your own table outside your shop?
I have things outside. I do have things to make it look more enticing for people want to come in, something a bit more bright, something that looks nice down the Broadway, but they just, when they can see something cheaper, they're gonna go. And I don't know whether they purposely undercut me just to sort of be a bit bitter, but they undercut me.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from anybody? If not, nothing from our legal department.
No.
Lee? No? Okay. Right, we'll now go into private session. If we can stop the webcast, please, and everybody else except the panel, and go into the waiting room, please.
Okay, Chairman, I shall put everyone into.
We'll start from the. Okay, done.
Okay. Right, well, thank you very much, everybody. Waited so long, and not a very easy application to decide on. The licensing committee, this is the decision seat. The application is for the Debden Traders Association, Debden Broadway Street Market, the Broadway Loughton. Description of goods being sold, provision of stalls for small markets selling mixed goods, including hot and cold food and drinks, but no alcohol sales. We are granting the duration is only for 2 days, Saturday between 8 p.m. and 5 p.m, Sunday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. The application has been treated on its own merits, and this subcommittee has taken the decision based upon the merits of the application and the relevant representations received. During our deliberation in private session, our advisory office gave us the following advice on the power to impose conditions if granted. The decision of this committee is that the consent shall be granted. I will now outline the reason for the decision of the subcommittee to provide fairness to other traders or retailers. Conditions are: this consent is not transferable. Trading shall be confined to the space available at the front of their own premises. In other words, only the shops can trade in front of their own premises with their goods. And that is all of that decision sheet. And that will be signed by me in due course and dated today's date. And that's it. I think I've covered it all. Thank you all for your attendance. And thank you, Emily, for your presentation. And we hope this helps the situation in the future.
Thank you so much for helping.
That's right. That's what we're here for. Okay, well, we'll now move on. Thank you for coming in, all those who are connected with this application. We'll now go on to the next application. Is for a premises license at God's Own Pizza, 155 High Road, Loughton. If we can get people to identify themselves, who they are and why they're here. We start off with Lee Newton. Lee, can you just say who you are and why you're here?
Yeah, hello, I'm Lee Newton. I'm the CEO of Media 10 in Loughton, but we also own God's Own Pizza and Tom, Dick and Harry's in Loughton.
Okay, thank you. David Hartrell. Can you unmute, David? You're still muted, David. That's it.
Right, that's it. Thank you. My name is David Hattrell. I live very close to 155 The High Road, Loughton, and I'm protesting.
You're
An
what?
objector.
Sorry?
I
Objective,
am-
that's right. Okay,
I-
yeah.
yeah.
And then we got Manos Philatis. Can you unmute, Manos? That's it.
Hello, I'm Manos, previously from the Olive Tree. I'm now partnership with Tom, Dick and Harry's, and I'm in charge of all the operations.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
And then we got Jane Musgrove.
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Jane. Hi, I am company secretary for Media 10 and TD&H Restaurants, which incorporates Tom, Dick and Harry's restaurant and God's Own Pizza.
Okay, and I think that's everybody there. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Councillor Richard Morgan, who will be chairing the panel. We've got where are we? Councillor Darson Sunga and Councillor Brian Rolfe sitting on the application. The fourth member, Councillor Ian Hadley, will just be observing. We also have Laura Kerman and Adrian Henry from Democratic Services, Handam Imran, who is a licensing officer. Where are we else? That's it, I think, isn't it?
That's
Oh, yeah,
it,
sorry,
Jim.
Lee. Lee Cole from
Lee Cole.
the legal department. You'll be obviously, Handam, you'll be obviously presenting this to us. Okay, what's going to happen is that I'll ask our licensing officer to present the case to us and why, all about it. I'll then ask the applicant, I don't know which one of the 3 or 4 of you is going to present the case, why you want this application at God's Own Pizza. We will ask you questions on that application, and then the objectors will just ask you questions, and that's questions only at this point on the application. After we finish the questioning from us and the objector, it's time for the objector to put his case, why he's objecting to it, and we will ask him questions, and then the applicants can ask him questions as well. After all of this, the objector will have one last chance just to say a few words which he's either forgotten about or has not included in his original presentation. It'll then be the applicants to put in their last minute comments. So we'll start off, I think that's all of it. We will then go into private session to discuss the application and come back to you as soon as possible. So we'll start off with Handam Imran to present the case to us, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good. We're here today to determine the application for new premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003. The application has been made by TD&H Restaurants Limited for a new premises licence, God's Own Pizza at 155 High Road, Loughton, Essex, IG10 4LF. The application is for a new pizza restaurant, and the applicant is applying for the following licensable activities. Live music for indoors. The timing and days are Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Seasonal variations include Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and the day preceding any bank holidays. The timings for season variations will be 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. New Year's Eve, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. the following day. The next licensable activity applied for is provision of recorded music. This is for both indoors and outdoors. The days and timings for provision of recorded music will be Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Season variations include Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and the day preceding any bank holidays. The timings will be 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and New Year's Eve will be 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. the following day. The next licensable activity is late night refreshments. This is for both indoors and outdoors. The days and times will be Sunday to Wednesday, 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. Thursday to Saturday, 11 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Season variations to include Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and the day preceding any bank holidays. Timings will be 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. the following day, New Year's Eve, 11 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. the following day. The final licensable activity applied for is the supply of alcohol, both for on and off the premises. The days and times will be Sunday to Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thursday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Season variations will be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and the day preceding any bank holidays. The timings will be 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. New Year's Eve will be 11 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. the following day. The hours the premises will be open to the public will be Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. the following day. Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Season variations will include Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and the day preceding any bank holidays. The times will be 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. the following day. New Year's Eve will be 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. the following day. The application was received on the 18th of November. The operating schedule sets out the conditions which will be attached to the license if the application is granted. With regards to consultation, the responsible authorities have all received a copy of the application. It was also advertised at the premises and in a local newspaper. All residents and businesses within a 150-metre radius of the premises were individually consulted. The authority has received 5 representations. This is from Loughton Town Council, Connaught Avenue Essex Limited, and the rest are from local residents. These have all been attached to the report. We have also received responses from Essex Police and the Environment and Noise Enforcement Team regarding conditions that have been agreed to be added if the licence is granted today. With regards to the objections, these relate to the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, if the applicant, I don't know which one of you is going to put the application to us, why you want this application. Who would that be?
I'll try if you don't mind.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to take it back a few steps if you don't mind. But my name's Lee Newton. 20 years ago, I remortgaged my house in Lindsay Street to set up a company in Epping, running events and magazines, etc. And 10 years ago, we moved to Loughton and ended up owning this building on the corner of Station Lane. Now, we believe we're probably now one of the biggest employers in Loughton. We employ up to 200 local people. I think we definitely add to the community in Loughton. We definitely add to the amount of people that are employed locally. 2.5 years ago, we applied to open Tom, Dick and Harry's on the corner building, which was previously a nightclub stroke bar with a terrible reputation and a place that brought in the type of people that we didn't want to see in Loughton, and I'm sure none of the residents did either. So when we applied for the licence, we had a lot of people immediately come up against us, accusing us of all sorts of things, and that we were going to take advantage and bring gang warfare and play loud music and run a noisy bar. And you know what? I think I know I'm proud, and I think I'm correct in being proud. We haven't had one complaint regarding noise, regarding nuisances, regarding staying open beyond our time, regarding live music when it shouldn't be played, or music outside. I don't think we've had any complaint at all. In actual fact, I think, again, I'm really proud that many times people stop us in the street and say, thanks for bringing this to this end of Loughton and changing the whole area. However, this is going along nicely. When COVID hit, and I found myself in a conversation with probably the other and the best restaurateur in the area, Manos, who owned the Olive Tree for 12 years. We got together and said, let's put both of our skills into one pot, and let's make one really good restaurant, and then try and expand from there. Obviously, COVID has caused us lots of problems, and it's only for the fact that we own the company upstairs that we're still going today. But what we have learned is that we need to give more of the community a much broader and wider offering. So at the moment, Tom, Dick and Harry's, which is a restaurant that has won Best Restaurant of the Year, Best Open Table Restaurant, Best on TripAdvisor, Best Local Supplier, and was picked by the Michelin Guide to be the only restaurant that they were going to put in their guide for the area. So I believe everything we said at the beginning that not everyone believed, and I don't completely think that was unfounded because of what was here before. But everything we said we've done, and now we want to spread out as far as we can. So the idea is to open a family-based pizza restaurant next door in an empty shop that's been empty for over a year, and attract a different audience. So we're looking for earlier and later diners, mainly families. Tom, Dick and Harry's is more of an adult restaurant. Very few children come in here. And we feel that there's definitely a need for a good quality, locally produced, locally funded, fresh ingredient restaurant selling pizzas. And obviously, along with pizzas, there always comes a takeaway. But our main thing is a restaurant. We've asked for music outside, we've asked for outside seating, etc., etc. It's because that's just what we need to do to run a restaurant in today's world when we're in the middle of one pandemic, and who knows how long will that last, and what the next one will be. All we do know is there will be another one. And so all we're asking for is the chance to run a restaurant with some of the agreements that we need to run a restaurant in today's world. I think it isn't much more than we've already got, and we've proved we can do that, not just successfully, but very, very successfully. And we'd like you all to understand that. And I'm happy to answer any questions about, loud music or us causing trouble or drunken behaviour, because we don't have any. We don't have that kind of thing here. We don't want it. We are a respectable business, and so much so we become one of the biggest businesses in the area. However, we may have worked for the Queen, we may have worked for Prince of Wales, we may have worked for BA, we may have worked for lots of large companies, but we're still a family-led business. I'm the CEO, I'm the main owner, and we're very hands-on, as you can see today. I'm in the restaurant, closing it all down for the next 3 months to make sure that everything's safe, and that's how we are. We're a very hands-on business, and so we like to say we're one big family. So that's what we want to do. We want to run a restaurant, a family restaurant. That's it.
Okay, thanks very much. Either your two colleagues want to comment at all? Manus or Jane? No?
Let's get some questions. I think it'll be good.
Right. Okay. It's up to the panel to ask you questions, and we'll start off with Councillor Sunga.
Chairman, I didn't put my hand up, but yes, I'm happy to go first if that's okay. Mr. Newton, thank you very much for your presentation. It's a good sales pitch, I must admit. But can I just say, you mentioned it's a family restaurant. At the moment, it's a closed restaurant, and you're now looking to have a pizza. Is that right? Pizza stroke.
Sorry, it's a what restaurant?
What was the premises before? Before you?
Okay, so if you go back many years, Tom, Dick and Harry is the corner site, and the shop next door.
Could I just ask you to answer my question, please? What was there before?
I'm trying to answer your question. We go back many years.
Yeah.
The Tom, Dick and Harry's and the shop next door, which we want to make into a pizza place, was all one pub. It was called the Crown, and it was all one building. Up until over a year ago, it was a fitted furniture shop.
Right. Okay. So this is now going to be, you're proposing a pizza place, is that right?
Yes, a pizza restaurant.
Where's the nearest other outlet that provides that food, the pizzas?
I'm sure there's many restaurants that sell pizzas as part of their menu, but I believe we are probably the only just pizza restaurant in the area. We will be, hopefully. Apart from a Pizza Express right at the other end of the town.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I think so.
Thank you.
Others, there are restaurants that sell pizzas.
Mr. Newton,
Any family-based restaurant
thank you. You've answered my question. Thank you.
Councillor Rolfe. Yeah, unmute, Councillor Rolfe. That's it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Just one quick question. What is actually meant by music for outside? I mean, to what extent is that? Where we applying? Does this mean that we're going to get a lot of music up and down the high street? I take it no, but I'll give you that answer.
No, Councillor Rolfe, you're right to ask. Absolutely not. No, we are about food. We're about a restaurant, and the only music we want is background music. But we'd like, because at the moment we can't serve people in any kind of restaurant at the moment. But a lot of this year has been with having to serve people outside. We've had to try and recreate as much of the inside outside of our restaurant just to survive. And we want to make the best atmosphere we can. We said when we first opened our first restaurant, we want to try and create an area, something that you might see in Europe, where people wander through happily and it's just a lovely atmosphere. And hopefully we've done that. And we just want the pizza restaurant to add to that. So literally background music.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm happy.
Yeah, no other questions, Councillor Rolfe? Okay.
No,
just going on the, when you say you're going to serve outside, where is outside? I've got the plan in front of me. What is it? It's not on the high street at all, is it?
No, it's not on the high street. So if you don't know the area, Tom, Dick and Harry's and the pizza restaurant, which are next to each other, are all in a slip road, and we actually own the slip road and the pavement. So that's part of our land anyway. So it's only serving people that are sitting on seats under umbrellas, hopefully, on our land immediately outside the actual shop.
So we need to license that area as well, then?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Was that on?
And it's all waitress service as well.
Yeah. The other question is, do you need such late hours for this pizza restaurant? If you're going to, you said it's going to be for adults and children.
Yeah. Look, I suppose what we're trying to do here is we're trying to cover all the angles because, again, I hate to keep bringing up COVID, but we have to. But we can't ignore it. It's nearly bankrupted us all. But so what we found we have to do is to spread people out much further. The restaurant industry's changed in the last year, where people are eating much earlier or much later, and they're avoiding the middle ground. That's partly because people trying to stay safe, and partly because we're trying to keep people safe, and we have to spread people out more. So therefore, we're pushing people later and pushing them earlier. With the pizza restaurant, we definitely expect there to be an early dining sitting for young families with young children. but we think that will go older as the evening goes on. But again, we're trying to spread it out so that we haven't got too many people at one time. And we're finding we're doing that in other restaurants as well.
Okay, and just one other question. How many covers or how many seats have you in the pizza restaurant or the new restaurant? How many can you sit down?
Okay, I might get it wrong. I might get it wrong by a couple here. Jane might be able to jump in, but I think it's about 35 seats at the moment, plus some seating outside. So I think outside there'll be no more than about 10.
And are we putting a time limit? It's probably Hannah will be able to say to me. Are we putting a time limit when people can sit outside and drink, or can they sit right to the end of the license? Hannah, have you got anything
We'd
on
also
that?
like people to be able to sit down at 9:30. We found ourselves people turning up at 9:30, 10 o'clock because they're trying to spread themselves out. We found it very hard because we're saying you've only got an hour and et cetera, et cetera. So we'd like to be able to sit people at 10, or 9:30. And so we're asking for what would make our lives easier. Not saying we're going to use it, not saying that we'll have people sitting outside, but the way the world is at the moment, we just need a bit of freedom to be able to work with what's happening. And none of us quite know what's happening day to day.
Is that right? Before I go to Councillor Handam, what was?
Yes. Your answer to that, Chair, is on their application, they are asking for the times, the opening times. That would include the outside area, unless today you decide to put conditions on the outside area and timing. That will be down to yourselves to decide today.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sunga.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to come back. Just on page 47, of the opening times, hours of premises open to the public. I know you've got Monday to Saturday 11 till 1, and then Sundays 11 till right to the bottom. Hours premises will be open to public. On the special variations, you mentioned on New Year's Eve, without being a killjoy, from 11 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the early hours. Can you justify that, Mr. Newton?
No.
The lateness.
No, I think that we'd be happy to negotiate with you on an earlier time than that. 3 o'clock. Is that us serving alcohol till 3 o'clock? I think that's too. That's not, is it? So when are we looking to serve alcohol to on New Year's Eve?
On New Year's
2:30.
2:30.
2:30.
So I ask you the same question again. Can you please justify opening such late hours, 2:30 in the morning?
No, I think it's us trying to spread things out and be ready for whatever might hit us with regards to rules and social distancing, etc., etc. And we could say 2 o'clock. We could say 2:30. I probably think 2:30 might have stretched it too far.
Mr. Newton, there's no wrong or right answer. I'm just trying to establish some facts as to why you've put that time down.
No, I don't think there is a. I think pretty much what I said was there isn't an exact answer, and
so you'd be open to a variation of the lateness.
Of course, yeah. Something that's reasonable for us to be able to make a living. That's all we want.
Fair enough. Thank you.
We aren't trying to be. We don't want to be, and we said this before. We don't want to be a nightclub in any shape or form. We don't want to be a place where late night drinkers come to. We don't want to be a place, but we want people that are going to dine to not have to be rushed, or us to say, look, we can't give you our full service because we've got to stop serving you drinks at a certain time. And we don't want to have to keep coming back to the council and say some rules have changed, so now can we do this? That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, and just another question regarding the drinking. Will alcohol only be served with meals, with pizza?
Yeah, I don't think we don't really serve anything without a meal at the moment in our other restaurant. So yeah, it means there's not enough space just to serve. It's not a bar; it's a pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
And we want to be the best pizza restaurant. Is the other thing. not the best drinking bar. It's the best pizza restaurant where to be.
Okay. Doesn't.
Yeah, Mr. Newton, please don't take this in a wrong or negative way. You know, the question that I've posed to you is just to get justification as to why we should, if we were mindful to grant this application as a committee. But I do understand your situation with the way businesses are at the moment, and I do feel for business, local business, and as a local council, we would want to support as many businesses to thrive during these difficult times. So yeah, I've certainly taken everything on board, but we just need to make sure that we're granting applications where they're justified with the facts in front of us. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
If there are no other members from the committee, I'll now ask the objector, David Hartnell, have you just questions on the application so far before you put your case why you're objecting? Just questions at the moment, please, David.
Most of the questions I had have already been addressed, but I do think it's very late at night for people who live nearby, like me, to be kept up during the week and on special occasions. So it's the time of closing is what I really would object to.
Okay, so that's all. You haven't got any really questions. You say they've been answered. Just if you'd like to put to the committee why you're objecting, then please, David.
Well, I'm objecting because I think because of the late hours and particularly for serving food and for selling alcohol, it will attract possibly the wrong sort of people to it will become a bar if we're not careful. I think the hours are unrealistic for serving alcohol, and particularly what does the words serving alcohol outside or off the premises mean? It could mean anything.
Okay, anything else?
Do I answer that?
Who's going to answer it?
Do I answer that, or do I?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, so David, I can assure you, this is as much as I can do, that we had lots of these types of things aimed at us when we opened the last restaurant 2.5 years, and not one single one of these things have come true. We've stuck to our word. We've said we're about putting in a restaurant for the community, and we've done that. We employ local people. We don't get complaints. Someone said to us at the last hearing we had, "What happens if you do get trouble?" We'll call the police, and we won't want to run a place that gets trouble. We're not, we're a big business here. We don't, we're a big local company. We don't want to be associated with anything that causes any local people a headache in any way. We want to add to the community and add to the area. And I believe if you just drive past where we are, you can't say we haven't added and tidied it up and made it look nice and added a nice atmosphere, because we have.
Okay.
With no complaints.
Councillor Sunga, have you questions to the objector, David Hartnell?
I was just going to say, David, obviously, as a committee, we will take everybody's points into consideration. And you mentioned about the late opening hours. As you know, I've raised that, and Mr. Newton's obviously given his position on that as well. So it's something that we will certainly be looking at. But in terms of the opening hours on the special, the season's variations, that's something that I'll be looking at or discussing with the committee. But the supply of alcohol during the course of the week, if planning permission was to be granted, the only thing I've got here is that you want to supply alcohol. They want to supply alcohol from Thursday to Saturday up until midnight, 12:30, the early hours of the. I'm not sure if that's justifiable. Perhaps, Mr. Newton, you can tell me during the course of the week, you're saying you still want to supply alcohol up till 12:30 midnight. Surely there are other outlets. If people want to have a drink, those are the license can go elsewhere. But I just don't understand why you'd want to continue serving alcohol up until 12:30. But perhaps you want to comment on that.
Well, 12, as I said earlier on, that people tend to be eating earlier or later now. And so if you sit down for a meal at 9:30, 10 o'clock, then, it wouldn't be out of kilter for someone to sit in a restaurant for 2.5 hours, having a 3 or 4 course meal. um, and that's why we're asking for it. It's not to turn it into any kind of bar, or it is literally so people can enjoy their food without being rushed. And we lose lots of customers, or we have lost lots of customers by saying that sorry, our license stops then, so we can't give you the full service.
Mr. Newton, would you be open if the committee was to mindful to grant this act? Would you entertain a slightly reduced hours of serving alcohol during the week?
Yeah, I think of course you would. We want to work with you guys, but we want you guys to understand what our predicament is. It is to run a business successfully that we can make money out of and survive. And so we need as much flexibility as you can give us. And we've proved over 2.5 years. And Manos, who manages it with us, who is one of our partners now, has had a restaurant for 12 years in Loughton with I think no complaints either.
Mr. Newton, thank. Just one of Mr. Chairman, if I could just come back. We do want to support local businesses, but at the same time, we also want to respect the quiet enjoyment of our local residents as well. So we're trying to strike a balance here, so we can support both sides. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay,
I completely understand and agree with you.
Okay, Councillor Rolfe, have you any questions, mainly to David, who is the objector? You have to unmute again, Dave, Brian.
So left it. No, sorry, I have no questions for David.
Okay.
Okay.
Who was that? Now we'll anything else? Well, I think you said all you wanted to say, David. Is there anything else regarding as an objector? Anything new?
Well, the only new thing is that you already answered the question. You have checked with the police. That's the important thing.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I have nothing else new.
Okay. And so we'll just go to the applicants. Mr. Newton, have you anything else to add without anything new? You covered everything?
No. I'm happy, as Mr. Sunga was saying, that you're fair to us and fair to the residents. That's what we want. The residents are our customers, so we need the residents to be happy as well. So, but understand that we have to do certain things to make business work these days.
Okay, thank you. I think that concludes. I think any officers or want to comment or questions? No. Manos, yes. Just unmute. Yes.
I just would like to add that when you consider the restrictions on the timings, please bear in mind what the businesses, the other local similar establishments are. So they would not worse off compared to them, because then it would put us in a difficult situation.
Yes, I understand. Yes. Just one question, probably, Mr. Newton, what hours is Tom, Dick and Harry open to? Are they licenses as similar to these ones applied for the pizza restaurant? No, you're still muted. You're muted, Lee.
So funny this, isn't it? All us doing this. The most used word in business now is "you're muted," I reckon. No, they are slightly strict. They are slightly stricter. That is because we haven't readdressed them, and we're obviously fighting for you to allow us to have a license in the first place 2.5 years ago, off the back of the terrible new bar that was here. So there's a hangover from that, but we would like to readdress that as well. Not by a lot. Just gives a bit more of a chance. Now the world has changed, but that's at another time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think that concludes everything, all the information we require. If we go now into private session, and if you could stop the webcast, please, Steve.
Okay, will do.
Everybody here? Yes. Right. Okay. Right. Well, sorry to keep you so long. It's quite a bit to discuss and get involved with. So the licensing subcommittee, we've been discussing the decision sheet for the premises at 155 High Road, Loughton, Essex, IG 104LF, God's Own Pizza. We consider the application satisfies the necessary requirements in order to be considered, as it is on the prescribed form. It has been advertised and relevant notification given. We are grateful to the parties for the presentation this afternoon. We've taken these and the written material submitted to us into account. We have considered what is appropriate to promote the 4 licensing objectives and the relevant parties of the Council's licensing policy and the Home Office guidance. During our deliberations, no issues of law or policy arose, and so the committee was not required to call on its advisory office for advice. The committee noted that all the submissions and the presentation, both oral and written, made in relation to this application. The decision of the subcommittee is that the application for premises at God's Own Pizza be granted, subject to the conditions as submitted by the applicant on the 18th of November 2, and the conditions imposed by the licensing committee on the 5th of January 2021, as today. The supply of alcohol Sunday to Wednesday from 11 a.m. till midnight, Thursday to Saturday 11 a.m. till midnight. The supply of late refreshments Sunday to Wednesday 11 p.m. till midnight, Thursday to Saturday 11 p.m. to midnight. The supply of alcohol Christmas Eve 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., Christmas Day 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., Boxing Day 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., New Year's Eve 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. and New Year's Day 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Days preceding bank holidays 11 a.m. to midnight. We consider our reasonable and proportionate and will not undermine the licensing objectives. We also attach the mandatory conditions contained in section 1921 of the licence in 2003. So the application has been granted, and the application and the objectives are reminded of their right of appeal to the Magistrates Court within 21 days of this written notification of this decision. So thank you all for your attendance. That is the decision of this subcommittee, and I thank you all for coming today. I'm sorry it's taken a bit longer than expected, but we had to go through it very thoroughly. Item 10, or item 8 on our agenda is the exclusion of public and press. I no need to exclude the public and press, and thank you all for coming. Thank you, and good evening, or good afternoon.
Very much.
Good afternoon. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.